Hola y bienvenido a este espacio Cambia tu Mundo, un espacio que nosotros empezamos hace 3 meses justamente para llevar transformación, valores, enseñanza de liderazgo a las personas, a tu casa, porque sabemos que en momentos de crisis, sabemos que cuando estamos con tanta incertidumbre, inseguridad, realmente las personas necesitan un poco de motivación, de inspiración, y por eso estamos aquí cada jueves. Y hoy estamos desde nuestra oficina de Transformación Paraguay. Para ustedes que no nos conocen, nuestra organización se llama Transformación Paraguay, una organización que trabaja mano en mano con la Fundación de Liderazgo de John Maxwell. Yo soy Timothy.
Yo soy Gaby.
Y somos los fundadores, directores de Transformación Paraguay, y nuestra meta, nuestro objetivo, lo que hacemos es enseñamos valores y principios de liderazgo a las personas. Y lo hacemos porque sabemos que si una persona puede ser mejor persona, mejor líder, mejor mamá, papá, profesional, vamos a tener un Paraguay mejor, vamos a tener un mundo mejor.
Así es. Y estamos felices de poder tener una nueva oportunidad de poder aprovechar este momento para seguir llenándonos con tanto conocimiento, tanta sabiduría. Y hoy tenemos una sorpresa, Timothy. Hay mucha gente que se está conectando, que ya de hecho trabaja desde hace años con nosotros, maestros, futuros docentes, jóvenes que están pasando por los programas Yo Lidero. También tenemos personas que son parte de organizaciones de empresas que también están pasando o han pasado por los entrenamientos de mesas redondas. Nosotros estamos todos enfrentando una batalla en este momento y no bajamos los brazos. Desde que todo esto inició nos sentimos más fuertes que nunca y queremos agregar valor a tu vida con todos estos programas y a través de podcast, WhatsApp, Facebook Live,
YouTube Live,
estamos llegando a vos y seguimos entregando materiales, contenidos de valores, de liderazgo, habilidades blandas que sirven para fortalecer todo lo que tenemos aquí adentro, porque la intención es estar fuertes por dentro para después sacarlo afuera y seguir avanzando y seguir siendo un buen ejemplo como líderes. Hoy no quisimos ser nosotros los protagonistas, hoy quisimos que estés y compartas este tiempo con nuestro aliado, con nuestro mentor, con nuestro amigo, John Maxwell.
Así mismo, el experto número 1 del mundo en temas de liderazgo. Y sería muy interesante ver los comentarios de dónde están conectando. Si han pasado por una mesa redonda o han asistido a una conferencia con John Maxwell en algún momento, sería muy interesante ver eso. También si han pasado por el programa de jóvenes, Yo Lidero, Yo Decido, Yo Hago, Soy Valioso, si han hecho estos programas.
Timothy, y muy importante, si no nos conocen y no han hecho ninguno de nuestros programas, ¿qué pueden hacer?
Pueden participar ahora mismo, después de ese entrenamiento exclusivo con John Maxwell. Se puede entrar en nuestra página transformaciononline.org, se puede hacer todos los programas online o se puede conectar con los links que vamos a poner aquí, donde se puede conectar directamente con nosotros y nosotros podemos conectar contigo y tú puedes recibir el entrenamiento en tu empresa, en tu equipo, en tu casa y participar en estas lecciones de mesas redondas que realmente son lecciones que nos enseñan valores, que nos ayudan a ser mejores líderes y personas, entonces, y completamente sin costo.
Sin costo.
Sin costo, sí.
Así que aprovechen, qué bueno es invertir en nuestro crecimiento personal, qué bueno es tener el deseo de ser mejores seres humanos y desde ahí construir un mundo mejor. También es importante decir, Timothy, que no solamente Paraguay está pasando por estos programas de crecimiento personal, también lo está haciendo Guatemala, también lo está haciendo Costa Rica. Somos un equipo bien grande y hoy estamos todos unidos en esta transmisión.
Así mismo, estamos John Maxwell, su corazón es transformación. yo le escucho en estos días y habla muchísimo acerca de transformación, acerca de valores, y que en estos momentos, cuando hay una crisis, es aún más importante. Entonces, él tomó la decisión: yo tengo que hacer un entrenamiento en vivo exclusivamente para los países de transformación. Entonces, estamos nosotros, Paraguay, con Costa Rica, con Guatemala hoy.
Y estamos felices de que vos estés aquí presente y de que estés invirtiendo en vos, en tu crecimiento. Gracias por estar. Comentanos, preguntanos, estamos aquí para vos. Y bueno, Tim, yo creo que ya es hora de presentarle al número 1 de liderazgo en el mundo. Qué orgullo y qué placer trabajar con él, con el mejor. Queremos lo mejor para nuestras vidas.
Así mismo.
Y John Maxwell prepara los mejores programas para Paraguay, para Costa Rica y para Guatemala. Y eso es una gran bendición. Aprovechemos este momento, tomemos nota de todo lo que nos dice John y a partir de ahí salgamos a tomar acción. Finalmente, eso es lo que vale. No hay crecimiento y no hay cambio alguno si no tomamos acción. Todo lo que hagamos hoy va a definir nuestro futuro. Gracias por estar. Lo que estás haciendo ahora va a tener buenos resultados.
Y recuerden que estamos aquí cada jueves a las 7 de la noche, hora Paraguay, en ese espacio Cambia tu Mundo. Y la próxima semana va a estar en guaraní.
La próxima semana vamos a hacer una mesa redonda en guaraní. Así que te invitamos a estar también ahí y a seguir aprendiendo con nosotros. Con ustedes, nuestro amigo, mentor y aliado, John C. Maxwell. Que disfruten.
Que disfruten. Nos vemos.
Hi, John Maxwell here. It is my delight to spend the next few minutes with you, people that I greatly love, people that love what I envision for your country, transformation, and to be able to have time with you that are in Guatemala, Paraguay, Costa Rica. And just, I want this to be an encouragement time, because with COVID-19, I know that things have kind of slowed down. In some places, they've gone to a halt. And I understand, and it's okay. But it wasn't okay for me not to reach out to you and let you know, first of all, I love you dearly. I love doing transformation with you. And I believe that you're the hope. I believe you're the hope for your country. And so I want to, in this time together, just lift you up and encourage you. In fact, I want to talk to you on the subject, courage to continue. Because what I've discovered is in all great movements, in all great projects, it takes more courage to continue than it does to start. A lot of people start the race, but to stay in the race, that's a whole different game. And I want you to stay in the race, and I want you to continue, because what you and I are doing is life-changing. It is transformational. And so our time together today is going to be where I just come alongside of you as your friend and say, let's stay with it. Let's keep on keeping on. You know, Margaret Thatcher, who was a great leader, Prime Minister of England, she said these words: "You may have to fight a battle more than once to win it." What Margaret Thatcher realized is that you never take a country in one movement, or you never change lives with just one time and one event and one program. That it takes consistency, it takes determination, that we have to stay in the battle if we're really going to win it. And with COVID-19, at least in America, people are always asking, well, how long is it going to last? And I tell them all the time, one, I don't know how long it's going to last. But number two, that's really not the right question. The right question is not how long is this going to last? The question is, am I going to last? Am I going to stay in the game? Am I going to continue on when it's difficult? Am I going to keep climbing that uphill process that we talk about when all good things are uphill all the way? Am I going to have the courage to continue? And I would say to you that if we're going to do what we need to do, we need to focus on today. Today matters. In fact, I wrote a book about that. And it does really matter, because we have at our hands, in our own disposal at this time, today, things that we can do right now to practice values in our own life and help other people learn and practice values in their life. You see, every day during COVID-19, I'm asking myself the question, am I practicing the values that we teach in transformation? And am I helping others learn the values that we teach in transformation? And at the end of the day, I'm just asking myself, did I help somebody really today live out, learn those values that will really make them a better person? Now, what really encourages me is I talk to Johnny Varican, and you have a great leader in John Varican, and you have great leaders in your countries that are just on the ground, and they're just doing a fabulous job, and I'm so proud of all of you doing this. But Johnny Varican talked to me the other day, and he just gave me some encouraging news about each one of your countries. He was telling me that in Guatemala, for example, that you developed a strategic alliance, and that right now you're translating material in 2 Mayan languages. And when that material is translated, you're going to be able to reach 1.5 million people. And I love that. He said that 10,000 transformation tables were started just in the month of April in Guatemala. Way to go, guys. I'm so excited for you. I'm cheering you on. I'm proud of you. In Paraguay, he was sharing with me, because, of course, COVID-19, the schools closed, that 26,000 students are now taking our I Lead material into their own homes and their families. And their families are learning those values. I mean, in other words, instead of just the kids in school learning them, they're taking them home to their families. Think of the change that's going to bring in all of those families. Way to go, Paraguay. I love your ability to stay creative and stay in the game. In Costa Rica, he was sharing with me that you've developed an alliance that literally has brought food and values to 100,000 families. And out of those 100,000 families that you're sharing food and good transformation of values with, they're all candidates and are going to be involved in the transformation tables. Again, Costa Rica, Paraguay, Guatemala, you have no idea how proud I am of you. In fact, that's why I'm talking to you now. Because as your leader, I want you to know that I have courage to continue. I want you to know that as soon as we're able to physically, we're going to come back. We're going to come back and be with you. We're going to be able to give you hugs and high fives and cheer you on. But until that time, we're not stopping. We're not quitting. We have courage to continue on. And I want that courage to be your courage also. Is it going to be challenging? Yes. In fact, I explain a crisis like this. Every day, everything worthwhile is uphill. So in a natural average day, it's still uphill. Up here are your dreams and your hopes and your goals for your life. The only difference between the average day being uphill all the way and a crisis like COVID-19 is instead of our road being like this, the way gets steeper, the road gets higher. And so therefore it takes more courage for us to climb that path. So let me give you some comments on courage that I want you to have today. Number one, each day we can choose to be courageous. Courage is not one decision that you make once in your life and it stays with you. Courage is a decision that you and I make every day. And I like to visualize, if you can, courage with me by just thinking of a door, okay? But this door is a little different than the doors that you're used to seeing. On a regular door, you've got on both sides of the door a knob or a handle where you can open the door, either side. But the courage door I'm talking about, you're on the inside, and the only knob or door handle is on the inside with you. In other words, somebody from the outside can't come and bring you courage or give you courage or open the door and say, here, I want to give you the gift of courage. you have to go to the door and you have to turn that handle yourself. It's a choice that you make, and only you can make it. And so I want you right now to look at your situation right where you are in Guatemala, Paraguay, Costa Rica. And when I want you to look at transformation, and I just want you to say, okay, that transformation door that's for my country, for my people, that doorknob's on the inside, and I'm going to go over and I'm going to intentionally, purposefully open that door. And I'm going to be courageous as I do everything I possibly can to give courage and transformational values to the people around me. And what I really want to do is I want to encourage you to have courage so that you can have courage to encourage others. Encourage means courage is within me. I want you to have it within you so that it can come out of you and you can encourage other people. About a year and a half ago, I decided to do a half marathon. And Mark Cole, most of you know Mark, our CEO of all of our John Maxwell Enterprise, was with me in Las Vegas when I said, okay, let's do the marathon. Now, you have to understand, I just happened to be in Las Vegas. I found they're going to have a marathon. I said, let's sign up. I've never done a half marathon before. Sounds like fun. I was out of shape. I was overweight. I haven't trained. So Mark went with me. Now, Mark's run marathons. He's in good shape. As he went with me to encourage me so I would have courage to finish that race. And so he kept a timer with me so that we made sure that we made the each mile in the time limit that we'd set for ourselves. And I got to about mile 10 and I got very tired. And Mark looked at me and he saw that I was tired. He said, John, you're too tired to talk. Don't talk anymore. For these last 3 miles, I'll talk to you. I'll give you your times. I'll encourage you. And the last 3 miles, to be honest with you, Mark just encouraged me, and I just kept on. And I crossed the line. I crossed the line not only and finished the race, but I finished it in a better time than I had expected or planned for myself. There's only one reason I finished that race. Not because of me, not because of my determination, but because of my friend Mark Cole, who stood beside me and walked beside me and encouraged me. He poured courage into me like I'm wanting to pour courage into you so that you have courage to encourage everyone around you. That's why we're doing it. Every one of us need to be encouraged and to have that courage within us. The second thing that I want to share with you about courage to continue is that courage is not an absence of fear or an absence of failure. In fact, courage moves forward in spite of fear, maybe even in spite of our failures. Let me explain to you what I mean. COVID-19 has been very difficult on all of us. It's changed the way that we live. Every one of us had to make adjustments. We've lost whatever normal was. We've lost our comfort zone. And whenever a crisis appears, there's a tendency for us to allow fear to dominate our life. And when fear dominates our life, it causes us to stop. People that are fearful don't want to make any sudden moves. So they just kind of hold their breath and stop and just hope that things will get better. Within me, are two emotions right now. One's positive, one's negative. The negative emotion is fear. Oh, well, what's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to our country? The positive emotion is faith or belief. Now, we don't get rid of our emotions. My positive emotions live within me. My negative emotions live within me. So how do I have courage to continue when I'm fearful? I have the answer for you. You don't get rid of your fear, but what you do is you take your faith and your belief, and there's a statement that I want you to be sure to write down because it's just true and it'll help you. The statement is this: what you focus on expands. What you give your attention to gets clearer and bigger in your life. Now, the opposite is also true. What you ignore, what you don't look at, what you don't focus on, shrinks and gets smaller. So I want you, for these next few weeks, to focus on your faith, your belief. Focus on your positive emotions, the emotions that say to you, you can continue to help people learn transformational values, even in difficult times, that you can live out those values for them to see in difficult times. I want you to focus on your faith, your belief. And what will happen is, it'll expand and become clear to you. So put before you, so you can see it, your faith, your belief. Take your fear and put it behind you, so you're not looking at it. And if you ignore it and you don't look at it, that fear, which was at maybe one time bigger than your faith, begins to shrink. Your fear shrinks, your faith expands. The positive emotion will win over the negative emotion when the positive emotion is stronger than the negative. It's also true the opposite way. If my fear is stronger than my faith, fear wins. I do what fear requires. If faith gets stronger and bigger than fear, then faith wins. So put your faith and belief in front of you. Focus on it. Let it expand. Let it expand you. Put your fears behind you. I've looked at people with fears and with failures in their life, and I've always asked myself the question, why is it some people seem to, in spite of the difficult time, thrive and do well, and then others seem to just kind of become a victim to their fears and their failures? You know, Thomas Edison, when he discovered the incandescent light bulb, he had 10,000 failures before he figured out how to do that invention. Winston Churchill, that great leader of Great Britain, said, success consists of going from failure to failure without losing your enthusiasm. Now, there are two different groups of people, and because you're part of our transformational movement, I want you to make sure that you're in the right group. You see, there's a group of people that basically, when fear comes, they just get paralyzed and they do nothing. And then there are people that when fear or failure comes, they rise to the occasion and they truly lead. And what I've discovered is this. Those who overcome fear and failure, they look at their fear, they look at their failure as a learning tool. This is going to make me a better person. This is going to make me a bigger person. So they embrace the crisis. They embrace the difficult times because they realize that they're getting better because of it. I love that. I think that is absolutely life-changing. And I just want you to catch that, and I don't want you to miss that. And let me illustrate that for you right now. You see, I have in front of me I have a bowl of lemons, and I have over to my left I have a glass of lemonade. And you've all heard the expression, when you're handed a lemon, make lemonade. Well, during a crisis, we're not handed one lemon, we're handed a bowl of lemons. I mean, every day. Sometimes it sounds and it looks like it's raining lemons from heaven. And when we get all those lemons, the good news is, the more lemons you have, the more lemonade you can make. And in fact, I'm not making glasses of lemonade during COVID-19. I'm making pitchers of lemonade. And I want you to be able to do the very same thing. And you do that when you focus on taking the fear, the negative, the lemon, and focusing on what it can become, lemonade. Make your fears and your failures a learning tool right now. People ask me all the time, John, what are you doing during COVID-19? I'm making lemonade. That's what I'm doing with you right now in this conversation as I'm talking to you. I'm making lemonade. I've taken a crisis that we have in Guatemala, Paraguay, Costa Rica, and I'm saying, hey, let's turn it around. Let's continue. Let's make something good out of something that's kind of difficult. The third comment that I want to make about courage is very simple. Courage requires action. It requires you and me getting involved. Again, fear has a tendency to cause us to stop. It paralyzes us. And so people, many times they say, oh, I don't understand what's happening. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of difficulties. And so they do nothing. Courage requires action. There is no courage without action. And courage is not something that you and I store up. We don't save it for a rainy day. It's something we use up. We've got to practice courage every day. And as we practice it and use it, we become more courageous. It's like a muscle. It's just like your muscle grows by working out, courage grows by working out. So if you have a tendency right now to hold back or hesitate, I want to just encourage you as your friend, as your leader, get rid of that thought. Right now, do something today that can help with transformation with the people that you're leading, the circle that you're in. Maybe it's an encouraging call, an encouraging note. I'm not sure what it is, but let me say something. Do something and do it now. When I was a young leader, I had the privilege of hearing a very successful business person. His name was W. Clement Stone. And I was just in my 20s, and he said to us, talking about crisis and difficult times, he said the tendency for people during difficult times is to procrastinate, to not do what they should do, let fear kind of dominate their life. And so they, instead of taking action, they began to just hold back. And he said, I don't want you to do that, because he said, if you take action, that's how you find success. Success doesn't come to you or me. We have to go to success. I call it advanced attraction. When you know what you want, all of a sudden, and you begin taking that movement toward it, all of a sudden, ideas will come to you that you didn't have, and people will come to you that you didn't have, and resources. But it comes to you because you and I are attracting it by our action. It's what I even would call action attraction. There's something about that action that attracts people to us. So W. Clement Stone said, if you have a tendency to procrastinate, put off, and not do what you should do, he said, I want you to practice this for 1 month every day. Every morning and every evening. The first thing you do when you get up, the last thing you do before you go to bed. He said, when you get up in the morning, sit on your bedside and say out loud to yourself 50 times, do it now, do it now, do it now. Do it now, 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 do it now. 50 times every morning before you get out of bed, say out loud, do it now, do it now, do it now. He said, when you get ready to go to bed that night, before you put your head on that pillow and go to sleep, say 50 times aloud, do it now, 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 do it now. 50 times every day. He said, if you'll do that every morning for a month, and every evening, every morning, do it now, do it now, do it now. Every evening, do it now, do it now, do it now. He said, if you'll do it for 30 days, he said, I'll promise you at the end of that month, that next morning, that 31st day when you wake up, he said, your first thought will be, do it now, do it now, do it now. Now, let me tell you something. I went back and I did that exercise for 30 days. First of all, I had to explain to my wife, Margaret, what I was going to do so that when I got up in the morning, she wouldn't think that I had just lost my way. Every morning, I'd sit up in bed and I would say 30 times out loud, okay, John, today, do it now, 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 do it now. Every evening before I put my head down to sleep and rest, 50 times out loud, do it now, do it now, do it now. And I discovered that's exactly what happened to me, just what W. Clement Stone said would. It began to help me get back in the game. Well, I don't know. I don't know if saying do it now to yourself 50 times every morning, every evening is going to work for you like it did for me, but I would suggest this. There are things that you could be doing right now for transformation, if you'll get creative, if you'll take action, that'll help you and help other people. So I'm saying to you as your friend, because my name is John, I am your friend. Do it now, 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 do it now. And trust me, Good things will come during a difficult time because you took action. The last thing I want to share with you about courage is that life shrinks or expands in proportion to your courage. In fact, there's a statement that I want to give you because it's a huge statement, and here it is. Everything you want right now, but you don't have, is outside of your comfort zone. Everything. That's a powerful statement. It's a statement I've used a lot during this crisis because people are out of the comfort zone. Can I tell you what I know about you? You're out of your comfort zone. I mean, we used to be able to have round tables very easily, and now it's a little more difficult because of the physical separation. I mean, we were doing an iLead program in the schools, and all of a sudden the schools closed. So there's not a normal. But here's what is beautiful about a crisis. A crisis takes us out of our comfort zone. It takes me out of my comfort zone. It takes you out of your comfort zone. So we're not the same as we were a few months ago. Now, while you're out of that comfort zone, get creative. It's like people say, get out of the box. Well, what's a crisis do? It blows up the box. You don't even have a box to get into or to stay in. So what is beautiful about this time is that now that you're out of your comfort zone, ask yourself, what is it that has been out of my comfort zone that I've wanted, that I've never reached for? Because right now you can. Because crisis kicks us out of our comfort zone. And by the way, when it kicks us out of our comfort zone, we either move forward and take advantage of that, or we go backwards and it becomes a great disadvantage to us. Again, courage or fear? Which one of those two am I going to embrace? And by the way, let me just say something else about fear. You know how a gardener, if he's got a vegetable garden, if he's wanting to grow something in his yard, one of the things he does is he goes out constantly and he cuts out, he hoes out, he weeds out, he gets the weeds out of his garden because he knows those weeds aren't going to give him any fruit and they're of no benefit and they're going to take up room and choke out the things that he wants to not only plant but to reap. So when you think of fear, I want you to think of it like this. Fear is like fertilizing weeds. When in our mind, when we have fear, if we go over and we fertilize it, that those weeds just get bigger. I mean, I go back to the gardener illustration. If you saw a gardener out there and he was fertilizing the weeds, you'd go up to him immediately and say, "Wait a minute, you don't want to do that. You don't want those weeds to grow. You want to hoe those. You want to get rid of those weeds." Isn't it interesting? Somebody could be fertilizing weeds and we'd stop it immediately in their garden and we let them in their mind fertilize fear and we don't stop them. Stop. Don't go there. Again, while you focus on expense, focus on faith, belief, put your fears behind you. It is like fertilizing. It is like fertilizing weeds. So I have a kind of a prayer for you. And that prayer is just simple, that you'll have courage right now where you are to continue. You see, there's difference between a puzzle that you put many pieces together to get a picture. A puzzle and life are quite different. Let me explain this to you. When our children lived kind of far away from us, when they would come home for Christmas or the holidays, Margaret would go out and she would get a puzzle with like 1,000 pieces. And she'd put it on a table. And there the kids during the holiday season would come over a lot of different times, and they'd just try to put the puzzle together. Their goal was by the time everybody was ready to leave, the puzzle would be done. Now, on the box of that puzzle was a picture of what that puzzle was going to look like. And so the kids kept that box right there on the table so they could constantly look at the picture and then find the piece. Look at the picture and find the piece. It was kind of like get the picture before you get started. Look at the picture, then get started. Life is exactly opposite. You've got to begin before you see the picture. And so I want you to know that the transformation picture will only be clear to those of us who continue to do transformation. Again, we may be limited in what we can do right now. It's different than what we have been able to do, but it's okay. You get creative. Do what you've already done. Look, you've already done it. You've already done it in Guatemala. You've already done it in Paraguay. You've already done it in Costa Rica. You've found ways to get transformation in the hands of people. You've found ways to get those values to the people, and I'm extremely proud of you for that. Now, a crisis puts us on detours. The way I describe a crisis is you don't go the normal route again. The route that you're used to taking from point A to point B, during a crisis, there's a detour or there's a dead end. And all of a sudden, what you know, what you're used to, what you're comfortable with is gone. A crisis basically puts you on what I call the detour tour. In other words, you kind of get up to do what you've always done, and you can't do what you've always done because it's gone. So now you're having to try it a different way, and you're going a different way. While you're on this detour, I want to greatly encourage you. Don't be like me sometimes, and I try to get back to the original destination as quickly as I can. Take your time on that detour. You're going to see things you've never seen before. You're going to experience things you've never experienced before. And that's okay. Because in that new world that you're living right now are some beautiful new answers for transformation, new ways to get those values out to people. So get creative. Take the detour tour and embrace it. Embrace it. Trust me, you'll learn things you've never learned before. And because of that, you'll do things you've never done before. So as I think about our talk on courage to continue, I just want to say to you, continue. And you might say, well, John, why should I continue? Well, here's why. You and I need to continue because we're not finished yet. We haven't brought transformation to our country. We knew when we started it would take a long time. We knew it would be uphill all the way. So I want you to continue because we're not finished yet. And by the way, as soon as possible, when COVID-19 lifts, as soon as we can, we'll get back to your country. I'll be back. I'll be able to hug you, love on you, thank you, thumbs up, appreciation for who you are, what you do. We'll be back. But we need to continue because we're not finished. We need to continue, secondly, because we offer hope. In fact, to be honest with you, the greatest hope your country has right now is you and the transformation values that we teach in our tables and in school. You are the hope of your country. If you're not in the game, they're not in the game. So we need to continue because you offer hope to the people. Thirdly, we need to continue because the people in your country need an example of courage. Perhaps too often, they've given up. They've quit. And they've never had a model. They never had somebody they could look to and say, they're going through a difficult time, but they haven't stopped. They've continued. They have courage to keep on keeping on. I just want to encourage you right now. Stay in the game. Continue because you not only offer hope to them, you're an example. You may be the only visual example they have that will help them to continue on. And then I would encourage you to continue because we teach courage as a value. In our iLead program, the students learn courage. And I want them to be able to look up at you as adults and say, I not only learn courage in the iLead Kids program, but I see courage in my family, in my parents, in my teachers, in my neighbors. Be that example for them. As I close my lesson today, I want to thank you for being with me, for listening. I want to thank you for being on the transformation team. We're making great progress. The world is watching you, Guatemala. The world is watching you, Paraguay. The world is watching you, Costa Rica. In fact, if we're allowed to this year, if not this year, next year for sure, we have 2 more countries that have opened up and said, come and do transformation in our countries. Why? Because of you. They've seen your progress. They've seen your success. Congratulations. You're running a great race. Now, let's continue running that race. And while you run, understand, I'm running with you. I'm going to continue. And one more thing. I'm really proud of you. Really, really, really proud of you. Together, we are making a difference. In our families, in our communities, yes, even our country. My name is John, and I love you, and I'm your friend.